Hey guys, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League Point Predictor. If you're new to the series, then make sure to check out my previous video where I take a full run through of how the concept of this new series works. But the gist is pretty simple. I have to pick a team of 5 Fantasy Premier League players, following the rules shown here, who I believe will pick up 4 or more points for the upcoming game week. These choices are purely my own, and aren't backed up with any algorithms or stats in particular. They're simply based on current form, and more than anything, just my gut instinct. Once you're aware of how all this works, make sure to note down your own team of 5 FPL players and then submit them in the comment section below. Currently on screen, you can see my predictions from last week's episode, so let's see how I fared. In defence, Van Dijk. I fancied Van Dijk to maintain Southampton's run of 3 clean sheets in a home fixture to Burnley. Unfortunately, despite a controlling display from the Saints, they considered a very soft penalty and were therefore unable to keep that clean sheet. To be fair though, it wasn't Van Dijk's best performance, and he was actually very lucky not to concede a penalty of his own. My midfielder under 8 million, I opted for Son. This prediction definitely went tits up, with Son not even making it into the starting 11 for this game. He was bang in form when I made this prediction, and with Kane still out, he seemed a good bet against West Brom, but clearly I forgot to consider their busy fixture schedule and Pochettino's fondness to rotate. For my midfielder of any value, I chose Dimitri Payet. Okay, so this isn't going very well, is it? I had an inkling that West Ham may get a result there, hence my choice of Payet, and West Ham duly delivered with a hard-fought 1-0 win away to Palace. However, despite the impressive result, Payet failed to deliver on this occasion. For my low-budget forward, I opted for Callum Wilson. Well, that's one at least. Bournemouth's form has been on the rise in recent weeks, and the same can be said for Callum Wilson since his return to full fitness. It looks certain that Bournemouth would beat a struggling Hull there, but I don't think anyone expected a scoreline of 6-1. Lastly, my striker of any value, I predicted Diego Costa to pick up 4 points or more. Once again, the ever-present Costa has delivered. That's 7 weeks out of 8 now that he's picked up 5 or more points, so it was a nice banker to wrap up my Point Predictor. So, for my first attempt at Point Predictor, this takes my final total for the game week of 2 out of 5. Well, it's a start, and for my first effort, it's a lot better than a complete washout. Hopefully I can go one further in Game Week 9's predictions, which we'll move on to right now. For my defensive option this week, I'm opting for Cesar Azpilicueta of Chelsea. Chelsea's home fixture against United won't be easy, but after seeing how Mourinho set up his United side against Liverpool, I think another cagey affair could be in store. It may just be another fixture that United see as a game they prefer not to lose, rather than going there to win. Because of this, I believe Chelsea have a good chance of keeping a clean sheet, especially if John Terry returns to strengthen up that defence. I may have opted for Hector Bellerin in this position this week, but as you know, I can't pick more than 1 player per team, and honestly, I've got my eyes set on other Arsenal options for Game Week 9. With that said, my midfielder under 8 million this week is Arsenal's Theo Walcott. It won't be long before I'm unable to pick the informed Walcott as my under 8 million option. At 7.8 million and currently banging in the goals, he'll be above that value before you know it, so I better make use of him this week. Walcott's on a fine run of form at the moment, and in Game Week 9 faces a struggling Middlesbrough side, at home, who are very low on confidence. It should be another week where Arsenal are surely in for some points here, so let's hope they deliver. As my any-priced midfielder, I'm actually sticking with last week's choice, Dimitri Payet. This is a difficult one for me, with other players also on my radar. I think Stoke's trip to Hull could be a potential point accumulator, but West Ham's home fixture against Sunderland is just as tantalising. After the Hammers sealed a first win in 6 attempts last week, their confidence will be boosted, and now they face Sunderland, who are yet to win a game this season. West Ham's time at the Olympic Stadium has been more than disappointing so far, but surely regardless of the result, Payet has a great chance of being in the points here. For my budget striker this week, I'm actually taking a complete punt on a player with 0.1% ownership. Yes, you heard me correctly. Granted, it could be suicide, but what's an FPL weekend without a good punt? So my striker this week is Borja Baston of Swansea. Believe it or not, he's actually picked up 5 or more points in his last 2 outings, and this includes an away goal to Arsenal. There were patches of that game at the Emirates where they really caused Arsenal problems, so I'm banking on Borja Baston to score again in his next fixture against Watford. Now, would I recommend transferring him in to your actual FPL team? No, of course I wouldn't, but for the sake of my Point Predictor, my gut tells me he's a good punt, and it'll be great if it pays off. If you haven't already closed your browser after my last prediction, then my striker of any value this week is the informed Romelu Lukaku. There's not much that needs to be said about the Everton striker, who's been on a hot streak for a good few weeks now. He scored last week in a tough away trip to Man City and now faces Burnley in his next fixture. It is away from home, and Turf Moor isn't an easy place to go, but I still fancy him to contribute something this week, and Everton will certainly be thinking they can take all 3 points there. As always guys, thank you for all the love and support for this channel so far. If you're enjoying the videos, make sure to keep showing the love by liking and subscribing. Get your own team of 5 Point Predictor submitted below, and let me know of anything you agree or disagree with regarding my choices. Check out my latest FPL video by clicking below, and I will see you all next week. Take it easy, and good luck for Game Week 9.